Welcome to the Eagle Flyer Podcast. I'm your host, Eagle Flyer Cal, and today we are going to be focusing this episode on Nintendo's first attempt at online, which is their last generation online connection service called Nintendo Wi-Fi. So last week we got word that Nintendo Wi-Fi is going to be shutting down its game servers on May 20th, 2014. So, this is, a little bit a ways off, but it's going to be here before we know it. And obviously last week, this announcement was met with a lot of criticism. For me, I personally don't really mind it too much. And, it doesn't really make a difference to me either way. But, I just thought that we could go ahead and go through the list of games, kind of talk about those games. And then after that, just share some of the memories that I had with the service. I eventually want to do another podcast based around this. But what I'm thinking is I'm going to do that closer to May 20th, closer to that deadline. I think it would be a little bit. I think it would be a little bit more special, to have, a group of people, interjecting their memories of this service. So I'm going to try to organize that for sometime in May. That's a little bit. Once again, I have a little bit of time to organize that. I was going to do it now, but I just think it's easier to organize everything, in advance. And right now, I just really want to put out this episode. I've been kind of working, on the podcast with some reviews. I'm doing a couple of reviews for Pretendo.co right now. And, I really am very picky about my videos. So it's just, it takes me a while to get it right. And plus, I write these reviews, multiple times. That's just how I work. I'm very picky about that. And it just takes me a while. But, I'm pretty sure the finished product will be worth it. So, that's why the podcast is late. I've been really trying to work on a couple reviews. I'm pretty much done one. Once again, I'm not really happy with the video. I don't think it really sounds that great. And it doesn't, I don't know, it's just not very flowy. So I'm going to try to just work that out a little bit. But the podcast for right now, like I said, in May, I plan on having a group podcast to discuss, the entire like Nintendo Wi-Fi memories with some buddies of mine. So that out of the way, I figured we can go ahead and talk about these games now. This affects a lot of games. There are some games that are the exception. Monster Hunter Tri would have been an exception, but that was actually taken down after Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate's release. So that game was taken down last year, I believe, probably early last year. So that one's no longer an exception, but it would have been because it doesn't run off Nintendo's Wi-Fi servers, which were handled by GameSpy. But apparently GameSpy was bought by somebody, and now the contract's ending sooner than they thought. I forget the whole entire circumstance, but Capcom would have been an exception there. I think High Voltage Software, their game Conduit 2, I believe that game is also going to be okay. I believe that what was it? Black Ops. I'm not sure about the Black Ops 2 on Wii, but I know Black Ops 2 wasn't on Wii. What was the second? Modern Warfare 3 maybe? I know that Black Ops for sure has a black Wi-Fi logo, and that's also a logo that is on the Conduit 2. And from my understanding, if you have the black Wi-Fi logo on your game, it means that you're not really running off of Nintendo Wi-Fi servers. You're running off of your either personal servers or, just someone else's servers that are not connected to GameSpy or Nintendo. So I'm thinking the Conduit 2 is going to be safe. The original is not going to be safe. But here's just some high-profile games for the Wii that are going to be effective. Animal Crossing City Folk, this is a big one, but I think at this point, Animal Crossing New Leaf is a lot better than City Folk, and that's on the 3DS right now. And it sucks to start over, but I honestly cannot I can't really think of anything that, would make you want to play City Folk, at this point in time, unless you are just getting to it now. Like, what would you do online? There's no mini games, I don't think. So if you are playing City Folk right now and you don't have New Leaf, this is a perfect opportunity to, one, get a 3DS if you don't have one, and two, hop on New Leaf, because New Leaf has a lot of awesome features for multiplayer that is just blow away City Folk in every single way. I mean, there's mini games from the island that you can go to. There's competitions you can hold. It's a lot of fun. It's a good experience for online, and it's just better than City Folk. The second game on this list is Battalion Wars 2, and I don't think I even know what that game is. The third game, Boom Street, no idea. Endless Ocean, which I actually do have. It's not mine, but it is in the collection of games on my desk. And Endless Ocean 2, that one is also going to be disconnected as well. Endless Ocean 2, I actually think that is one of the few games that used We Speak. So it's kind of weird, just to see that game go away, because I remember when it was bundled with We Speak. The next game is Mario Kart Wii. This game, I have mixed feelings of this game. I think for the Wii, it had really good online servers. I think that if Brawl had the servers that Mario Kart Wii had, we might be looking at Brawl's Online a little bit differently than we are. I think Mario Kart Wii, it looks really, really good. I think the game looked really good. I thought it played really good online. The really no lag. I'd never really experienced lag on Mario Kart Wii. The only problem is I really don't like the Wii version of Mario Kart. I think the cars are too slippery. I just think that the whole physics of the game is just kind of off. I prefer Mario Kart 7 a lot more, and that is also on the 3DS. That is going to, that's kind of the cart to go to, I think, now, up until 8 comes out. But I think Mario Kart 7, with its communities, with its online, I think it's just a little bit better than Mario Kart Wii. Though I will say Mario Kart Wii's online experience, in terms of racing, I think it's better than 7's. So, it's kind of a trade-off, but once again, Mario Kart 8 is coming out, and that game should be a lot better than the Wii version. Hopefully they take, some good aspects of 7 and some of the good aspects of Wii and just kind of combine them. That would be awesome if we had a game that kind of controlled like Mario Kart 7, and then a game that had a lot of features like the Wii version had. So, I think that hopefully that's going to happen. But I think once Mario Kart 8 comes out and once people start buying the Wii U, I think, it's just going to be a much better game. I think people will see very, very quickly that this is a much better game than Mario Kart Wii. Mario Sports Mix, I vaguely remember this game. I think it came out like late in the Wii's lifespan, I want to say, but I don't really remember this. I really don't remember it having online. I don't really have anything to say about that one in particular. This next one, though, Mario Strikers Charge Football. And Mario Strikers Charge was a fantastic game. It was such an awesome, Mario sports game, but in all of like the soccer games that I've played, this is the only one I could really get into. And for local multiplayer, this game worked so well. Online, not so much. It had a lot of lag. People were doing all kinds of crazy stuff online. And you can never really get, a seamless experience like you would be getting in local multiplayer. So, it doesn't really bother me that this game is, going to be, not online anymore. I really don't play it anymore. But, playing it locally is actually a lot of fun. So, I think local multiplayer for Strikers Charged is a little bit more important for this particular installment than, the online multiplayer was. It was still nice to have. It never really worked that great. Pokemon Battle Revolution, the game sucked. I mean, it's pretty much just the most boring part of Pokemon, which is the battling and on big screen. So it really wasn't that great. It was really, really disappointing. I thought it was going to be like more than just a battle simulator, or not a battle simulator, but just like more like a battle on the big screen type of thing. It didn't have a story. It was awful. And the announcers in that game, oh my god. Oh my god, it was awful. It was such a bad game, and I never got far enough into it to want to play online. Like, I never got really into the game because it was just so stupid. I could just go play real Pokemon and have the battling. I don't know. It was just dumb. It was really, really bad. Samurai Warriors 3, I don't even know what this game is. Really, Samurai and Warriors together just kind of put me off. Super Smash Bros. Brawl, this game, once again, fantastic for local multiplayer. Online, it just never really worked. It was very laggy. I think, you spent more time waiting to get into a match than you actually did playing, because once you get into a match, everyone lags out, everyone gets disconnected, and the game's over. And if you are a NES player like me, it is literally impossible to do NES's most powerful move when you're in this, type of lag. There was a point where I did get good at the online, but, it's not seamless. It's not fun when you are in slow motion. So, and especially when people put the items on, that just adds more issues to the game. I did notice that when you played with friends, depending on where they live, depending on their internet speed, you could get a fairly decent match, but it would still have a tiny bit of lag, and a little bit of lag can really screw up your character, especially when you're so used to playing, in such a smooth, environment, offline. So, playing online, just regardless in that game, is just not really that, it's just not seamless at all. It's just very, very poor. So hopefully they invest more in the next Smash Bros. So we don't really have to even think about Brawl anymore. And we'll be good. I mean, Project M, the mod that came out for Brawl, is actually really fun. Obviously, that's not made by Nintendo. But that game, actually, it does have improved online. It's still not perfect. I want, the next Smash Bros. Obviously to be better than that. But, I mean, for a mod, they did a very good job in just making that game a little bit more playable. Once again, there's still a little bit of lag, depending on who you're playing. But, it was an improvement. The next game that is on this particular list is The Last Story. The Last Story, I didn't know it had online. I never played The Last Story. I know people are going to kind of be bashing me for that. I never really got any of those Nintendo Operation Rainfall games. I don't really know why. I was going to get Xenoblade, but it's pretty freaking expensive, and I just didn't want to spend the money. The Last Story, though, I've heard really good things about. I'm kind of interested in playing that. But I didn't know it had online. I'm not really sure what you would do online for that game, but hopefully someone can kind of fill me in on that, or I can just go look it up on the internet, because there's that. Trauma Center New Blood. I was never a fan of the Trauma Center games, and I didn't know they had online. But now that I know that they have online, that's kind of intriguing, because I'm kind of curious what you actually do in that game. So let's move on to WiiWare. These are just some of the notable games. Dr. Mario and Germ Buster. I've never played a Dr. Mario game, so I mean, I don't have any memories of this game. I never played it. But I know that I have some friends that do love Dr. Mario. Their parents love Dr. Mario. They go crazy for it. So, it's kind of a shame. I know that there's Dr. Luigi out now, which is supposedly just a not as good version of Dr. Mario. I don't think that one has online, though. I think that one's just local multiplayer. So I'm not really sure what Dr. Mario is. I'm not sure if I know what Dr. Mario is, but I'm not sure what its online is. I'm not sure if you're actually playing Dr. Mario online, or if it's like some kind of leaderboard. I'm not really sure. Excitebike World Challenge. I don't know what that one is either. I'm not sure if it's just Excitebike with, I don't know, leaderboards, kind of like what Mario Kart Wii had. I'm not really sure. Lawn Posts. No idea what that is. Maboshi, the 3-shape arcade. I'm not really sure what that is either. But it's not going to be online anymore. Through Space High Velocity 3D Puzzle. No idea what that is. WarioWare Do-It-Yourself Showcase. I'm not really sure if I know what that one is either. I didn't really keep up with WiiWare. I think I remember some of these games being advertised at some point. But yeah, I'm not really sure about that. All right, so let's move on to a much more notable platform that has a lot of online games, and that is the Nintendo DS. So the DS, this was actually one of my first, I guess this was my first Nintendo online enabled machine, as probably is a lot of yours as well. And the problem with the Nintendo DS for me is you had to have the type of online, I forget what it is, maybe WPA, I want to say. I might be wrong. I don't really remember. It's been a long time. But I never had that. Like, I always had security on my router. So I never really got to play the Nintendo DS online. So, this really doesn't make a difference to me regardless. But Nintendo DS was the first system that I attempted to play online. And I'll get to that in a minute. But here's some of the games. Advance Wars Dark Conflict. I never played this game, but apparently it had online. Animal Crossing Wild World. I had that game. It was a lot of fun. Once again, though, the online for that, not really that good. You can just get 7, or not 7. I'm thinking about Mario Kart still. You can just get New Leaf, and it's just a lot better. You have a lot more features. The overall game just is packed with more things. You're just going to enjoy it a lot more. Clubhouse games, I think my brother actually had that. Custom Robo Arena, no idea. Diddy Kong Racing, that is something I did have. The problem with Diddy Kong Racing is that, it's not, the cars don't really handle that well. If you go from Mario Kart 7 to Diddy Kong Racing, it feels like, Diddy Kong Racing feels like it's just like automatic. The cars are very slidey. The planes are really fun to fly, and so are the hovercrafts. So it's pretty fun. I would recommend Diddy Kong if you have a DS and haven't played it. It does have a lot of things to do in it. It's kind of difficult. It's a kind of it's a difficult racing game, but I remember playing it on the Nintendo 64. I forget it was someone's office. It was some kind of either dentist or orthodontist. I forget. But I used to play that, and it was just a blast. I don't really think it was as good on the DS for multiple reasons, but it's still a really solid game. I never tried it online. I honestly can't imagine anyone still playing it online, but it's, if you have a chance to get the game, I do recommend it, though it is a lot of fun. It's just not nearly as good as Mario Kart DS was. Then we have a couple of Dragon Quest games on the list. Once again, I never really played those. Monster Hunter Shadow Dragon, and I'm not really sure which one this is. I think this is the remake of the first one, I want to say. I never played that one. I wasn't even aware of what Fire Emblem was for a large portion of the DS lifespan. Mario Kart DS, in my opinion, the best Mario Kart. I think it has just the best controls in general. I think everything feels great. The only problem is that people snake online, which I guess it was never really an issue for me because I was one of them. But, I just kind of learned to snake in order to compete. I only played this game online one time, and that was on vacation. They had wireless internet there, and I was able to play, and it was awesome. But, once again, the community for the Mario Kart DS is not nearly as big as what the 3DS community is, so it's really not worth playing right now anyway online. It did have that cool VS mode, though, in the single player, which, in my opinion, is something that 7 should have included. I'm really disappointed that they didn't, but that one was really cool. Alright, so now we have Mario Kong. We have Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, March of the Minis, and then Mario vs. Donkey Kong Mini Land Mayhem. Both of those no longer having online. I didn't know they had it to begin with. The next one, this one is probably one of the more notable online games for Nintendo DS, if not the most notable, and that is Metroid Prime Hunters. Now, I did play this game one time online. I don't really remember how the experience was, but it was definitely probably the best online experience for Nintendo DS, besides, the Pokemon games. And it was just, really interesting. I think it was kind of similar to what Prime 2 had on the GameCube, I want to say. I don't really remember if that had the online, or not. He didn't have online, but it had local multiplayer. I think this one was like that local multiplayer, but online. So it was really cool. Once again, I never really got to take advantage of it, so it doesn't really matter to me too much that it's being taken away. But the thing with Metroid is, compared to these other games, is we don't know if there's going to be another Metroid, on the 3DS or on the Wii U. We're not really sure if there's going to be something to replace this particular game. And, hopefully there is. Hopefully eventually there will be, another online Metroid, but we don't know. So that's a little bit sad. But honestly, once again, the game's really old. I'm not really sure how many people are actually still playing the game on the DS. But I guess, it's still a little bit sad. I bet people will be online on the servers when that game goes down. They'll be riding it out to the end. All right, the next one is Nintendo presents Style Boutique. I'm not really sure what that is. Just kidding, it's my favorite game. Pictocross DS, no idea. Actually, yeah, I do. I know what Pictocross DS is. I'm not really sure what the online is. Pokemon Black, Pokemon Black 2, Pokemon White 2, Pokemon White, Pokemon Conquest, Pokemon Diamond, Pokemon Hearth Gold and Soul Silver, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Darkness, Explorers of Sky, and Explorers of Time, Pokemon Pearl, Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon Diamond, Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Alimia, no idea what that is, Guardian Signs, Pokemon, no, they're just going through it again. So there's a lot of Pokemon games on the DS, all of which are no longer going to have online, and there's apparently a lot of people that do still play Pokemon White and Pokemon Black. My only advice to you would just be upgrade to Y, transfer your Pokemon over with Pokemon Bank, and that's really all I can say. You're going to have a lot more competition though now because everyone can EV train, and that's all I can say. There's probably not going to be another Pokemon game like those two. Just in terms of you have to do all this stuff like by yourself. There's no help for EV training. So that's just what's going to happen. You're going to have a lot more competition now. Professor Layton, Pandora's Box, I'm not going to read all these. Professor Layton in general, not going to have online. Once again, I have no idea what the online would be like for those games, but they're not going to have it anymore. Star Fox Command, which I think a lot of people forget about this game. This was a Star Fox for the DS. I never played it. I think I played like a demo unit or something, but I never played that game. I wasn't really aware that it had online, but apparently it does. Zelda Phantom Hourglass, the online for that really sucked. I think that it didn't suck. It just really wasn't good at all. I would have rather them had like something like Four Swords or something like that. That'd have been really cool. But they decided to do some weirdo game that's really similar to, I want to say the Luigi's Mansion game in, what's that game called? Nintendo Land. I want to say it's kind of similar to that, but at the same time, it's really not. But it's kind of a cool little game that you can play. But, personally, I think they could have done better for that. WarioWare Do It Yourself. I don't really know what that game is. I don't really remember that one. Nintendo DSiWare, we had Metal Torrent. No idea what that is. Mario versus Donkey Kong. Minis March Again. Not really sure what the online is for that either. Sujin Tensei Number Battle. Not really sure what that is either. But yeah, all these are shutting down May 20th. Obviously, there's some third-party games that are also going to be shutting down. For the Wii, all of the Call of Duty games are going to be shut down, except for, I think, the most recent two. The original Conduit's going to be shut down. And trying to think of other third-party games on the system. I can't really think of any right now. So, all of these games are being shut down on Nintendo Wi-Fi. And, there, like I said, it was kind of met with some criticism. And, you can kind of see why. I mean, for a lot of people, including myself, this was kind of my first experience with online. And it's kind of disappointing when you look at it and you see all these games are just going down. Like, all of these worlds are just closing. And some people put a lot of time into these worlds. I think the positive thing with Nintendo, though, is that they are opening new worlds in, the same universe. So, you're not saying goodbye to these things forever. You just have to upgrade in order to, you have to upgrade your console. You have to buy the next gen console in order to continue to experience. But that's why, you never want to have just online only games, because they're not going to last forever. These games, although their online's going away, and that's a feature you'll never be able to access ever again, you still do have the single player experience, which that's why it's so important to have a single player experience. There are games that are out now that don't have that. A new game that's coming out, Titanfall, has no single player. The servers aren't going to be around forever. So, it's kind of a scary thought. For me, my first experience with Nintendo Wi-Fi was kind of a negative one, but the Nintendo Wi-Fi was my first online experience. The first time I tried to connect to Nintendo Wi-Fi was, I think I was in 7th grade. I went to Panera because we didn't have wireless internet at my house. In fact, we had a Windows 98 computer, fully wired internet. We had no wireless connections of any kind. We were really, outdated at that point. And, the only way that I could actually attempt to play my DS online was to go to Panera. Or, Panera is like a bread place. They have soup and stuff. It's kind of like a little fancy place. I'm not sure if Paneras are everywhere, so I'll just explain that. It's just kind of like they sell like pastries and whatnot. Coffee, hot chocolate, just a whole bunch of stuff. So I went there because they had free Wi-Fi one time. I was like begging my mom to take me like the entire time. For a couple weeks I just said, can you please take me to Panera? I'll have a grilled cheese. I'll have some soup and I can play my DS online. I can play some Mario Kart. And we went to Panera and I couldn't log on to the online. I could see it on there. I tried clicking it. It asked me for a code. And at the time I had no idea what that was. I didn't really know what Wi-Fi was to begin with. I knew it was wireless internet, but I didn't know it had different codes and stuff. I'm like, well, I think I lost the key. I don't think my DS came with a key. I tried typing in my DS serial number. I, said, blaming my mom for throwing away the box. It was awful. I mean, I thought I couldn't play online. But later, this is like maybe a year down the road, I actually saved up some money and I bought a wireless router. Now I bought the wireless, I'm not really sure how I saved up the money, but I saved up the money. I think I used my graduation money from 8th grade to buy a wireless router. And my main purpose was to play the Wii online. Because all of my friends had online, they were all playing these games. And this is when online gaming for consoles was really hitting my age group. People were playing Call of Duty 4 on their Xboxes, on PlayStation 3. Most people, I think, had the Xbox 360. I had the Wii, which I really didn't mind. I thought it was a really cool system. I still think it's a really cool system. It's just that, I didn't have online for it. And, I bought a wireless router and I tried hooking up to our, ancient system, our ancient Windows 95 computer with the, weird Motorola, modem. And it didn't work. It turns out that the router only works with Windows XP and up. I think at the time it was just XP. And it was just like, oh my God, it doesn't work. I tried plugging it into the wall upstairs. I tried, and once again, I didn't really know that much about, networking or anything like that. So, I went from, I was really excited. It's like, I'm finally going to get to play this thing online. I'm so excited. I'm going to be just like my friends. And it just didn't work. I couldn't do it. And I just got Mario Kart 2 and Mario Kart for the Wii. Someone dropped it off at my house as a graduation gift. Really awesome graduation gift too. I got a whole bunch of stuff from that person. But yeah, so it's like that game had online too, and I'm like, oh my God, I can play Mario Kart online for this, but I can't have my router working on this old system. So it really came down to my parents having to get a new computer. and they weren't ready to do that. So I guess it was kind of, when I started high school, all of us got laptops in my class, in my grade. We all had to get laptops issued by the school. The laptop sucked, by the way. I'm so glad I don't use it anymore. But yeah, we all got laptops, and I kind of needed to have wireless at that point because otherwise I'd have to keep doing my homework either on our home computer and then transferring it over to my other computer, which is running on XP. And we really needed to get, wireless internet so I could use my computer at home instead of having to go into school. My mom worked at the school, so I could just, go back with her and work on stuff. But, it was a pain. It wasn't, ideal. So we finally got, the IT people there. We decided to build our own computer. And we finally built our own computer. I mean, just think of it this way. I mean, at the time, my internet was so bad and that computer was so out of date. I couldn't even watch YouTube. I couldn't download, any Adobe or the Java. I couldn't download any of that stuff. So I couldn't even watch gameplay videos. So it was just kind of disappointing. I'm hearing all these, cool games from IGN, and I couldn't even watch a video of them. And YouTube didn't work. So, I mean, my first experience with YouTube was pretty much the day we got our new computer. And then my router came into play, but I kind of had to wait, let's see, all of June, all of July, August, September, October, and I think we finally got it in November. So, that's 6 months. That's 6 months of waiting to use that router. And, it was at a time when I was obsessed with playing online. It's I wanted to play so bad. So, I finally got everything powered up. We finally got the computer. My laptop was working. So I could actually watch YouTube videos, which was awesome. But, something kind of, I got in trouble because my grades were bad. So as soon as we got the new computer, and I was like, oh my God, I'm finally going to play games online, my mom said, not so fast. You can't play games online until you get your grades up. And it's just oh my God, are you kidding me? I waited this long, and now I can't play it online. And that was such a low blow, man. I was like, oh. It's I finally get this. I can finally play online. I think the first game that I actually do play online is Medal of Honor Heroes 2, which it had 32 players online, but it wasn't without its drawbacks. I mean, every character looked like they had seizures. But that's kind of going off track. So what happened was I wasn't allowed to play online. I was really pissed off about it. Every chance I'd get is I'd go up, play the Wii. I'd go online for a few minutes, and if anyone came upstairs, I'd just turn the Wii off, or change the channel. So that was kind of what I did. The first game I tried to play was Medal of Honor Heroes 2, like I said, and I thought it really was crappy. Luckily, I also had Call of Duty World at War, and that game played a lot better than Medal of Honor Heroes 2. So I was playing that, and I was having a blast. I'm like, I wish I could just enjoy this and just relax and not have to worry about people coming up the steps. And, it was just kind of, for the next 2 months or so, it was just kind of going, that's how I was playing online. So it really wasn't relaxing, but it was a lot of fun. I was having a blast with the games. It was very reminiscent of when my brother and I snuck Street Fighter into our Sega Genesis. We weren't allowed to play it because at the end of the match, people would have blood all over their faces. Yeah, my parents are very strict about that, and I'm fine with that. Looking back, I'm fine with it. But we still snuck into my parents' room, got the cartridge, and we would play it. And my sister would look out for my parents to come upstairs so we could just hurry up and put the cartridge back in their room. And so that's kind of reminiscent of that. I was kind of just on edge all the time playing the game. But it was a lot of fun. And at that point, prior to our new computer, I just went on to the, it was called the Conduit Information Center. This was kind of my first online group that I joined, the first forum I joined, because I saw the Conduit. I'm just like, this game looks awesome. And I used to look up the Conduit like every single day because it looks so cool. And, at the time, there really wasn't that many shooters on the Wii. I mean, really, looking back, there's really no shooters on the Wii either, now. But, yeah, it looked so awesome. And, so that was the first group that I joined. And then later on, I joined the Grinder Network, which was for the Grinder. And then that turned into HVS Network. And I made a lot of friends there. I mean, throughout the years of going onto those forums, I made a lot of friends off of a game that never came out. So, I do hold the Conduit, in high regards. I mean, I don't think it's, a great game, but it's a pretty decent game. It had really fun online, and I got a lot of friends out of that deal. So it was really cool, and High Voltage Software people would come to our website. I know Tony Mecca would come. He was like their animator. We had Rob Nichols coming there. We had David Pellis. I think Eric Knopfsinger would go there. We got exclusive interviews with them. It was a whole bunch of fun, and it was just off of this, one Nintendo Wi-Fi game. I know for the Conduit, I did go to Justin TV, and I used to play with someone on a channel, and I guess Justin TV is actually kind of the original Twitch TV. I think Twitch TV is Justin TV. I think they kind of just moved over. At least that was my understanding. Yeah, they're very similar services, and I used to play with people on the channel. I used to just go on every night. I'd play Conduit, and that would be it. So that was a lot of fun. Like I said, I got a lot of friends out of that deal. We used to play Call of Duty. Call of Duty Modern Warfare Reflex was really awesome. That was because it kind of sucked when when everyone else was playing Call of Duty 4. I couldn't play. I couldn't join in on the fun. So, and at the time, it's not like I had a job. It's not like I could go out and buy a PlayStation 3 or buy an Xbox 360. And in fact, I really didn't want to at the time. I was really, really happy with the games that I had on the Wii. Like, I was really happy with the console. And I really never, thought, I should go buy another console. So I was really happy with it. It was just, I was really excited for Call of Duty 4 to come out. I just wanted all the games to come out on the Wii. I didn't necessarily want to go buy it on another console. But Call of Duty 4 Reflex was really, really cool because I finally got to experience what everyone else experienced, and it was awesome. We used to have a little group. I had a little clan or whatever. We'd go online, and we were completely, just casual about it. We weren't, going crazy or taking everything seriously. We were just kind of doing fun stuff, messing around. It was a lot of fun. I thought, between the controls and the online was, relatively smooth. It was a lot of fun just playing with, the friends and whatnot. And that's something that I do miss because I don't really do that anymore. But I guess after that, it was kind of on to Monster Hunter, which, like I said earlier, Monster Hunter is really not running on Nintendo Wi-Fi. But it was still kind of Wii online experience that's not there anymore, and that was a lot of fun too. It's just I really wasn't that great at Monster Hunter at the time. I didn't really understand it, but obviously I understand it now. But it was still a lot of fun. I understand that the online for Monster Hunter, once again, it kind of puts people off because it's not really well explained. But I don't know. For me, I just thought it was one of, the Wii's best online experiences, even if you didn't understand it. So that was really cool. I even had a website that I made myself for that game. I don't think it still exists. Hopefully it doesn't. I updated the website one time with Monster of the Week. I didn't even know what the monster was. And I never updated any of the week things again. I knew nothing about Monster Hunter and I was making a website about it. It makes no sense. But it was really fun game to play online. One of the highlights, I think, of Nintendo's service, even though it really wasn't running on Nintendo's service. A lot of fun. Conduit 2, once again, not really on Nintendo's Wi-Fi service, I don't think. But it was still a lot of fun. And, it was just, I think over the years, I look back at this service and it wasn't perfect. I mean, in no way was it perfect, but it didn't stop me from having a ton of fun on it. And, I think when I think back, about Nintendo Wi-Fi, for me, the positives of the service are going to outweigh the negatives of the service. I mean, it was free compared to Xbox Live, PSN, even though PSN is free, but now it's not. But it was still a free service. It was Nintendo's first attempt, and for the most part, I mean, besides Smash Bros, which was really disappointing online, besides the DS's limited connection options, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, I think it was a fun service. I mean, you had GoldenEye, you had just a whole bunch of different games that you can play. And I think because there was less third-party support on the Wii, getting those third-party games just meant a little bit more. So the ability to play, I think I was just very thankful for a lot of those experiences that I did get on the Wii. And, I don't know. I think back then I was just a happier gamer than I am now. But I don't know. So, I think that is pretty much it on the memories. I mean, obviously, once the servers are about to be closed, I'll come back with some friends and we'll get to talk about, their memories, and I can kind of interject mine again. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully that can get done. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that happens. But, yeah, I mean, besides the memories, that's it. So, with Nintendo Wi-Fi now going to be gone on May 20th, we can start looking ahead, and Nintendo is looking ahead too. Mario Kart 8, Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. Obviously, you already have your Animal Crossing and Mario Kart. You have Kid Icarus. You do have some online games for the platforms that are either coming out or out now. Obviously, Monster Hunter 3U replaced Monster Hunter Tri. So there are different experiences that are available or are going to be available soon. I do think that May 30th is too late for Mario Kart. I think that it would have been great if they released Mario Kart the day these servers went down or sooner. But it really wasn't. It's not really that big of a deal. I think I'm more excited to see what they can do going forward. I think the Wii's Online will always hold a special place for me because it was my first online experience, and I don't really regret it. And in fact, I know that I don't regret it because I did make a lot of friends. So, it's not... I think that, the future is bright for Nintendo. I think they still need to iron out some things. But, I'm really confident to see these new online experiences for the Wii U. I think they're going to be really awesome. Mario Kart 8, really excited. That's going to be the true test to see how good the online's going to be. But, yeah. I think there is a lot to look forward to. It's always going to be, fun to look back. You always see the past in rose-colored glasses, but you have to move on at some point. And we knew as soon as these consoles were announced, the 3DS and the Wii U, we knew that it was going to be inevitable that these other servers were going to bite the dust. So I hope you enjoyed my little rant here, my little story. I'm kind of all over the place today. I'm a little bit hyper, but I really am serious about May. I really hope to get a group together. We can discuss some Wii memories while playing some Wii games. Maybe we can make that a video podcast. That'd be awesome. I do have an Elgato, so it is possible. But yeah, I think that's it for today. I'm kind of running out of breath now. So until next time, Eagle Flyer Cal out. What we're going to do next week, I'm not really sure. But you can find me on YouTube at EagleFlyerCal. Same for Twitter. Same for Twitch.com. You can go to my personal website where you can find the download link to my podcast. It is the EagleFlyerPodcast.blogspot.com. And you can check me out here on Pretendo.co, where I'm going to be having 2 reviews coming out very, very soon. Hopefully my review will be up by either tonight or tomorrow, and it will have a video review to go with it. It really just depends if I can get the video right. I don't want to release something that's not good, or that's not up to my standards. So, until next time, Eagle Flyer Cal out. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of the day.